Hey everyone, Mike here, and we've got a big update today. President Donald Trump was just directly asked about tariff rebate checks. Yes, you heard that right. Actual rebate payments connected to the tariffs. And what he said is getting a lot of attention.
Mostly in my first term, but we're doing it even beyond. So thank you all for being there. That was a great celebration today, right?
Now, I've been following this closely for weeks because a lot of you in the comments have been asking, are these tariff rebates real? Are we actually going to see money in our pockets? And finally, we've got an answer, or at least as close as we've gotten so far. What Trump said today gives us a very important signal about where things are heading, but his answer wasn't exactly crystal clear. It's layered with political messaging, subtle nods, and a few hidden clues that we need to break down piece by piece. And the line, "I think you'll be very happy with what we're working on," that's vintage Trump language. He's used that exact phrase before major announcements, stimulus checks, tax cuts, and even the vaccine rollout. So, while he didn't confirm a date or a dollar figure, the pattern here suggests that something is being drafted. Now let's talk about why this is suddenly being discussed. We all know tariffs bring billions of dollars into the federal government every year, money collected from imported goods. Trump has long argued that those tariffs are paid by China, though economists debate that. Regardless, the revenue is there. So the big question is, what happens with that money? According to sources close to the administration, one proposal under review would redirect part of that tariff revenue back to American households and small businesses, especially those affected by inflation and rising import costs. Essentially, tariff rebate checks would act like a mini stimulus program, funded not by new taxes or debt, but by tariff collections already sitting in the Treasury. If that sounds familiar, it's because something similar happened during the agricultural aid packages a few years ago, when farmers received checks to offset trade war losses. This new version, however, would be broader, potentially targeting middle-class consumers instead of just farmers. Trump mentioning it now, right before an election cycle heats up, is no coincidence. Here's the political reality. Trump knows that direct payments, no matter what you call them, are popular. Stimulus checks in 2020 and 2021 had some of the highest approval ratings of any federal action in decades. Everyone remembers getting those deposits. Now, if you can take that same concept, rebrand it as a tariff rebate, tied to the idea of America first, trade fairness, and economic strength, it becomes a powerful campaign message. So when Trump says we're talking about it, he's not just floating an idea. He's testing the political temperature, seeing how voters, the media, and even markets react. And based on what we're seeing online, the reaction is huge. People are asking, how much could we get? When? Who qualifies? Let's dive into the deeper psychology behind this. Notice how Trump connects the rebate checks to making sure American workers benefit, not foreign countries. That framing does two things. It ties economic relief directly to patriotism, helping our people. It positions the rebates as part of a broader trade victory, not a handout. Politically, that's brilliant. Instead of stimulus, which some critics frame as government spending, these become rebates, essentially a refund from the tariffs America already collected. This is the same tactic used in past messaging, turning economic aid into a reward for strength, not relief for weakness. It's subtle, but it's extremely effective. Of course, economists are divided. Some say this could actually make sense. After all, tariffs have brought in billions, and much of that money hasn't been specifically earmarked. Redirecting a portion to consumers could ease the cost pressures that tariffs themselves helped create. Others argue it's mostly political theater, that the government can't simply rebate tariff funds without congressional approval and a structured program. Still, the idea has legs, especially because it appeals to both fiscal conservatives, we're using existing revenue, not borrowing more, and working-class voters, we're putting money back in your pocket. And that's exactly the coalition Trump wants to strengthen heading into 2026. Now let's go back to Trump's delivery, because his tone said almost as much as his words. When asked about the rebate checks, his expression shifted. It wasn't defensive, it was confident, almost knowing. The kind of look that says, yeah, we're doing something big, just wait for it. And if you pay attention, he used the word workers multiple times. That repetition is deliberate. In political communication, repeating a key word plants a theme. In this case, workers, not recipients or beneficiaries. That's how you sell a rebate as earned, not given. This psychological framing is critical to how the message will be received by voters and how the program, if announced, will be defended in Congress. So let's talk logistics. Could these tariff rebate checks really happen? Here's what sources and analysts are saying. Step 1. The Treasury Department would need to confirm how much tariff revenue is available to allocate. Step 2. The White House would propose a mechanism, potentially through executive action or as part of a larger economic bill. Step 3. Congress would need to sign off if it involves new spending categories. Now, given the current political environment, that third step could be tricky, but there are paths forward. For example, framing it as a temporary rebate program similar to a tax refund adjustment. So yes, while it's complex, it's absolutely possible. And the way Trump's talking, it sounds like early groundwork may already be happening. It's not the first time we've seen something like this. In 2018 and 2019, during the peak of the trade tensions, the administration used tariff revenue to fund billions in payments to farmers through the USDA. Those programs were approved quickly, showing how fast tariff-based relief can move when there's political will. Now imagine scaling that concept up. Instead of just farmers, targeting middle-class families, small manufacturers, and even truckers affected by import costs. It would be massive, and it would mark the first time tariff revenue was used to directly support consumers. That's why this tariff rebate talk matters. It's not just a headline. It's potentially a new policy lever. Now let's step into the political strategy room for a moment. Trump's hint about tariff rebate checks does three things at once. Forces Democrats to respond. If they criticize it, they look like they're against direct help to workers. Reignites economic optimism, reminding voters of America First policies and financial wins. Dominates the news cycle. Everyone's talking about checks again, and Trump's at the center of it. That's not coincidence. It's calculated. Every word, every nod, every smile during that press moment was designed to set the stage for a bigger reveal later. So don't be surprised if, in the coming weeks, we start hearing terms like Fair Trade Rebate Program or Tariff Dividend Plan. Those are the kind of names his team might use to roll this out. Here's what I'll be watching in the coming days. Any statements from Treasury Secretary or trade representatives confirming tariff revenue reallocations. Whether Republican lawmakers start echoing this idea on social media. And most importantly, if Trump repeats the workers' benefit line in upcoming rallies. And in this case, everything about Trump's response screams strategic optimism, teasing a policy that hits multiple goals: economic relief, patriotic framing, and political momentum. Now, will it actually turn into checks in your mailbox? That depends on what happens behind closed doors in Washington over the next few weeks. But I'll tell you this, today's comments are the strongest signal yet that something like this is on the table. So what do you think? Would you support a tariff rebate check program if it meant getting a direct payment funded by Trade Rebate? New, not new taxes? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. If you found this breakdown helpful, hit that like button, subscribe if you haven't already, and turn on notifications so you don't miss the next update, because I'll be covering every twist and turn as this story develops. And of course, check out the links below for resources on investing, financial education, and ways to protect your money in uncertain times. Thanks for watching, everyone. Stay informed, stay focused, and until next time, take care.